This episode of the Sober Curator show includes discussions about the use of psilocybin as part of a recovery journey. While we honor diverse approaches to sobriety, we acknowledge this topic may be sensitive or triggering for some viewers. If you are in recovery or navigating sobriety, please approach this content with care and consult with trusted professionals regarding your own journey.
Diet Coke, can, bottle, McDonald's fountain, like where is the best Diet Coke?
McDonald's is the best.
Yeah.
And the reason McDonald's is the best is because they use steel tubing for their carbonation and for their syrup. I did a whole thing in like high school. I wrote McDonald's and diet. So that's the best. It's peppery. It's not too sweet. After that, I'm gonna say a bottle then can. But to be honest, I like all of it. I like
yeah. Just right here. It's totally fine. Yeah.
I'll take it how I can get it.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This unfortunately, this episode is not sponsored by Diet Coke, but Diet Coke CEOs, if you're listening, it absolutely can be. It absolutely can be. All right. Today we are joined by Mason McCulley, an artist, actor, writer, producer, and creator, best known for his role as Ken on HBO's Insecure. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, Mason has brought his passion for storytelling to his latest project, Carol Cook Died for My Sins, a one-man show running in Los Angeles that explores his journey through loss, despair, and ultimately redemption. Mason, we're super jazzed to have you here today.
Oh, I'm so grateful to be here. I really am. Thank you for caring about my story and for having me on. This is a treat. So thank you.
Well, I'm just so glad that you found us because I have had a lot of fun in the last year. I'm a real sober connoisseur nerd of content. So like I'm obsessed with content that talks about sobriety, recovery, depression, mental health, all the things. And I love seeing it on the silver screen. I love seeing it on TV. And I really love seeing it on the stage. And I've noticed there's like this uptick in the last year of more theatrical performances that are happening that really shine a light to these complex storylines. And so when your team reached out, I was like, this is going to be so exciting. Ones we've covered already this year. It was actually in Venice Beach. I don't know if you saw it. It was The Spy That Went to Rehab. And it was basically...
I heard about it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. The Spy Who Went to Rehab. It's basically, the vibe is like 007 goes to rehab, which is hilarious. Like hilarious. And then there's actually a show playing off Broadway right now called Another Shot. And it was originally called When Harry Met Rehab, like a playoff of When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, yes.
And it's about a Chicago sportscaster who gets sober and goes to rehab. And then there's like, I could just keep going with all the shows.
There's more. And you know, that when I was in New York back in January, where finding the play, and my friend's show was off Broadway called The White Chip. And that's the first.
Saw it.
Yes.
So good. So
Tapper.
good.
And his wife Anna Lee posted. Yeah. And so that's the true story of Sean Daniels. And so that was all about finding your own sobriety. And so
and I loved that set. I felt like, I love the set. I also love going to an intimate theater because I feel like they're basically just performing for me.
Yeah, they are.
And like I just felt like all of the actors on stage were like making eye contact with me and like I was in the story with them. So I just love it. I love it. So enough talking about everybody else, though. Let's talk about your show.
Yeah, well, let me say, this is what I'll say. And I love that you brought up the fact that there's more and more content and there's more and more theatrical productions around sobriety. And I believe it's because we are breaking the stigma. There is so much stigma around sobriety. And, you know, it's apropos that people call it a buzzkill. No one wants to hear about sobriety. And the reason that no one wants to hear about sobriety is because they think it is something that it is not. Sobriety is magic. When I first started my journey, I was scared of the word sober because I thought it meant something that it didn't. Much like when I first came out of the closet, I was scared of the word gay. I said, well, I'm this, but I'm not that. I'm this, but I'm not that. And with sobriety, originally in the play, it didn't end up in the play, but I wrote that I always thought sober looked like a disheveled man with a button-down shirt and a loose tie and stubble. That looked to me, that was what sober looked like. It was clinical. It was a straight jacket and a white coat. I love the word sober because sober means calm and founded. That's what sober means. And when people talk about sobriety, for me, I love talking about sobriety because my sobriety is surrounded by alcohol. I had to take alcohol away in order for me to find my foundedness and my calm. But sobriety, even though it is associated with drunkenness and with intoxication, you can be sober from relationships. You can be sober from jobs. You can be sober from sex. You can be sober from drugs. Sobriety is about taking the debris away that clouds you so you can find yourself. So I now love the word sober. And originally in the play, which I'll get to very, very quickly, I used to use the words sober from alcohol. And I wrote it, sober from alcohol, sober from alcohol. And about a week into production, rehearsal, I looked at my director and I said, I'm tired of saying sober from alcohol. I consider myself sober. There are things that I do, which we'll get into, that some people don't consider sober. But I have worked far too hard and I've earned the word sober because to me, it means that I have found myself.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I'll just jump in and say this, like,
Great.
if you identify as sober, you're sober. And I don't ask anymore. I don't ask any more questions because I don't think it has to be the same for everyone has their own journey. And I have a friend who is, she considers herself sober because she's 12 years off heroin.
There you go.
She does still drink and she does still consume cannabis, right?
That's okay.
That's okay. Harm reduction.
I imagine she doesn't walk around going, I'm sober from heroin. I'm sober from heroin.
Right?
Like,
no.
good for her.
We don't. Yes, exactly. So I really feel like it's just, and I think you're right. It's about clarity and vision and getting in touch with your true self.
Totally. I love that. And thank you for saying that. Some people have opinions about, and that's great. And if they aren't comfortable talking to me, I respect that. I'm so glad that you guys said yes.
Oh, so comfortable.
So what I'll try to make this brief in regards to what the story is. In 2015, my mother was diagnosed with FTD, frontotemporal dementia. And I came out of the closet in 2011 and I was in Hollywood and I was working on TV shows. I was finding myself and my mom was celebrating her gay son. And I was on my way to becoming this version of me. And then in 2015, mom got sick and I was diverted. I was halted. I was broken by my mother's illness. It wrecked me and ruined me. And that's when the drinking got bad. I was already drinking too much anyway because I was born and raised in Alabama and I was closeted in Alabama. And so there was already something that I was trying to overcompensate for. But I was doing really, really well. And then his mom got sick. And so amidst my darkness, I was drinking too much, but I had my friend Carol Cook. And a lot of people don't know who Carol Cook was. She passed away in 2023, 3 days shy of 99. She was Lucille Ball's protege and best friend. She's best known in pop culture for playing Grandma Helen in 16 Candles. And she was an iconic Broadway actress. And she was my dearest fiery redhead friend. Here's a portrait. This is a mock test portrait we did for the play. That's Carol Cook.
I love it. I've seen it on your Instagram. I love it.
She was my muse and my confidant and my best friend. And so when my mom got sick, I stopped believing in everything except Carol Cook. I had her. We traveled together. We drank martinis together. She and her husband and I would go to the theater together. I have started to go on my downward spiral towards the end of 2022. It was already spiraling down, but it was getting darker. Carol was not doing well and on her way out. My mom wasn't doing well. January of 2023, Carol passed away and I was 10 days sober when I told Carol Cook goodbye. But at that goodbye, I had a cocktail with her because I wanted one final cocktail. And that cocktail turned into a 2-week bender in West Hollywood. I was no stranger to benders. It looked fun to the outside, but it wasn't fun. And then 2 weeks in, on January 25th, I believe it was, I heard Carol say, she had passed away, and 2 weeks in, I heard her say, "Stop it. We're done. We had so much fun in this world, kid, and but I'm not letting you continue it. We didn't do all of that amazing stuff while I was still in your realm for it to end like this. Get it together." And that was the day that I changed. And I decided that it was time for me to let light in. And I went on a very long walk, and I'll tell you about that walk because it has to do with sober content. A song came to me. Long story short, 3 months later, my mother passed away, and I got to be with her. Carol woke me up from the other side of the veil, and I got to be with my mother. And then magic started happening. I started finding myself, and the world started revealing itself to me. And so much magic happened that I started writing this play back in January of 2024. And I thought that I was going to write about the magic and about the light, and about the salvation and about the redemption. But I realized that I had to start with the darkness. I had to tell the audience what it looked like before the magic. In order for that magic to land and for it to be as bright as it is, I had to tell. And so I realized if I can tell the truth on stage and really tell what happened when Carol Cook died, I had a good story. And that's what I did. And the first thing that happened to me when I went on that walk, which is not in the play but will be in the book, is a song came to me. And the song was actually called Grace. And grace is my word. And the song is called Grace by Marcus Mumford. And it came to me. And I would listen to it on repeat for 3 months. And it kept on saying, "I hear there is healing just around the corner. And I hear there is healing just around the corner." And I listened to it and listened to it and listened to it until my mom died. And then I decided to look up the lyrics. And it was about Marcus Mumford getting sober from alcohol. That I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and if you look at the video, it's him it's water, he's drowning in water because it's about him finally releasing this thing that was holding on to him because of other things that happened in his life. And so that's when the journey started. And I'm so grateful that my debris was alcohol because it was easy to spot. I knew that if I got rid of this toxic thing that I was so beholden to, that I could start to clear other debris. And that's what happened. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning. People think sobriety is something that it is not. Sobriety is magic. Sobriety is not white knuckling your way through life. Sobriety is getting rid of something that doesn't serve you. And when you decide that thing, whatever it is, for me it was alcohol, is no longer an option, you're able to find joy elsewhere. And that's what happened. And that's the beginning of my journey. And one of the things that I say, but for some reason, a lot of people have been coming to me and saying, "How did you do it? How did you do it?" And I'm like, I think Carol did it. But one of the things that I say is taking a break from alcohol doesn't work. Now, it works if you have a healthy relationship with alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You can lose weight and you can clear your mind and you can find your energy again and you can, that works. But if you don't have a healthy relationship with alcohol, taking a break doesn't work. Dry January does not work because what happens on February 1st? Most of the time, you get blackout.
Yeah.
And it's because what happens is you're saying, well, I have 1 month, and you suffer through the month because you know that on February 1st you're allowed to drink. Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
What I tell friends is I don't say quit forever because that's daunting.
Yeah.
I want to say quit forever, but
daunting.
Yeah, but what I say is just stop. Stop drinking and don't give yourself an end date. And then you're forced to find the joy in the sobriety. Mm-hmm. If you give yourself an end date, all you'll be thinking about is the end date, but you have to find the joy throughout it. Mm-hmm. And then you don't need it. Yeah. And then there's a guy who reached out to me on Instagram and he said, "I'm hitting my 3-month mark and I'm going to have my martini." And I said, Don't. I said, keep going, because when you keep going, the magic shows up. And he messaged me. He saw the play. He messaged me and he goes, "You're the reason I'm 9 months sober and not 3 months sober." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Because you told me the magic is going to start to happen." And the magic is starting to happen for him.
Yeah.
all these things are happening because you're going deeper and deeper into yourself. But for me, the psilocybin and the mushroom experience has truly, truly helped me, because it's allowed me to go to my subconscious, and it's in the play too. I had an accidental mushroom experience in New York about a year ago, and it was one of the first times that I found Mom
What
and
do you mean by
Carol again.
accidental?
This is what happened, and I don't want to give away too much of the play because it might go to New York, and I
100%.
want you to come see it if it does.
My bag is already packed. Already packed.
Yeah, and so yes, perfect. I can't wait. We'll have a big party, and you'll be there. And so what happened was I had plans to meet up with this guy for a
As one
hookup.
does.
I talk about sex a lot in my yeah. So I had a hookup, and he was going to come to the hotel, and he was having drinks with his friends before he met up with me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do mushrooms. I'd only done it once before, and it was a really beautiful experience. And I thought, well, this will be a great time to do mushrooms again, because this hot guy is coming over. This will be and he's a free spirit and blah, blah, blah. So I go to purchase the mushrooms in the bodega in the West Village, because there's it's not legal, so there's like a code, and so I'm like feeling all cool. I go back to the hotel and I consume some mushrooms, and I'm feeling pretty good. And he's running late, and I'm getting nervous.
Oh no!
So I do too much. So in the middle of the hookup, I'm so grateful it happened. In the middle of the hookup, I had the most massive spiritual awakening I've ever had. I'm naked in the room, sobbing, crying. It's one of my favorite parts of the play, because in the play, the audience experiences that mushroom experience with me. And what happened was we're hooking up, and another song comes on that comes to me through the algorithm, and the song comes on, and I note it. I tell him, I say, this song has been following me everywhere, because it'd been following me everywhere. And then I start telling him about how Mom died and Carol died, and I got sober from alcohol, and I'm talking like a crazy person for 30 minutes. The song comes on again, and he looks at me and he goes, "It's that song, isn't it?" And I go, "It's that song." And then everything shifted, and it was like I saw a movie in my mind of the past 6 months of when Mom died and Carol died, and that's when everything happened. The song was called "Dial Drunk" by Noah Kahn, and I didn't realize the lyrics were also about alcoholism. And that song is in the play, and it was almost as though Carol, the way I picture it is, Carol from the other side of the veil, it's like she had, of course, because she's older. In my mind, she had a record, and she kept on putting the needle on the record. And then the song played and went away, and then she put the needle on the record again. And it was her way of saying, listen to what's happening around you. And it allowed me to go to a place in regards to divinity and ancestry. And it allowed me to, the feeling, and this is the words that I used in the play, is they're here. They are here. It was a confirmation that they were still here. Now, I don't know if they know that they're here, or if it's their energy that's here, or if it's their spirit that is here, but it was a confirmation that the two women that left, I have chills right now, the two women that left me were still with me. And that's a big piece of my wound and my why. We were talking about the wound and the why of drinking. Well, my wound was my mother leaving me. She was sick for 8 years, and she was still here, but she wasn't. And that's when I drowned myself.
Well, I just feel so close to you, because I have my own Carol. Her name was Rita. And she passed 2 years ago, and she was 92, and she was over 40 years sober. And I have to email you a picture of her, because you're just going to be like, I would have been friends with Rita too. She was just, I could
already tell.
She was just my person. I met her in very early sobriety recovery, like very early, like the first couple of weeks. And she just became my person. And I mean, she drove me crazy too, to be clear. Like, she drove me crazy. And she did it. Did you, by any chance, do you follow the Instagram account Advanced Style that follows really? So Rita was in book number 2. Rita was in book number 2. You would.
I'm sure that I recognize her.
I bet you. Rita and Carol.
Of course I followed.
Rita and Carol are hanging out.
I tried to get him to photograph Carol. It was a whole thing. And he said, I love Carol Cook, and it never happened. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, we get it. Oh my God, that's so fun.
Well, and I also
Feeling
love
better
what
than
you're
Rita.
talking about with spirits and the other side of the veil. And this is not a comparison at all. But I recently
It's okay. You
lost
can
my
share.
Boston
Tell me about your
Terrier,
dog.
Roxy, 9 years. Yeah, 9 years.
People do this a lot.
And at the beginning of September, it happened very suddenly, very unexpected. And of my 2 Boston Terriers, she was the baby. So I definitely did not see her going first. And as I've been going through the grieving process over the last 2 months, what I have had a profound experience with that I have not experienced before since getting sober is I don't just miss her, the dog, I miss her actual spirit. Like I miss and I know that my spirit and her spirit are going to connect again. I mean, she's still here, but like we are going to be together again because I've just never been so clear on a connection with a spirit like what I have with her. So I
get it. Oh, that's so sweet. I get it. I understand that. I do. I totally, I get all of it. And it's just so interesting because before Mom got sick, I believed in everything. I did. I believed in everything on some level, and then I stopped, and now I believe in everything again, but it's bigger and brighter. And that's a big piece of my play. My play is called Carol Cook Died for My Sins. And everyone comes and they think, oh, it's about Carol Cook and their relationship. It starts out, that's what it's about, but it's about my journey towards myself. And one of the big pieces of that journey is finding belief and faith again. And I touch on the Christian faith, which I am not that. Because I was raised in it, but I believe it's something bigger and much, much bigger and broader than what the modern church claims it is. But one of the things I talk about is Jesus. And at a certain point in the play, I get up on an ottoman and I become Jesus. And I'm very well lit, and it's quite humorous, but it's also quite jarring. But what I basically say is, I don't think that Jesus was saying, I am the truth and the light. I don't think he was saying that. I think he was saying, you are the truth and the light. And I think it got lost in translation. And I think that Jesus said, you have everything within you. Everything is within you. Follow me. Don't worship me. Follow me. Come with me. Come with me and let me show you what it's like. But don't worship me. But it's what's inside of you. It's the God that's inside of you that truly is going to guide you. And when you realize that, you can do anything. You can do anything. And that's what I think sobriety is. It is calm. It is calm and it is founded. And it is knowing exactly who you are, and it is knowing how worthy you are. And it is knowing how divine you are, regardless of what you've been through. You should hear the stories that I tell on stage. I open the show talking about Carol Cook and our relationship, and then I talk about what happened when I had that cocktail with her, and I went on a bender, and I tell all these things, and there's these text messages I got from a guy that were awful, and I read them on stage. And the only reason I'm able to read those on stage and talk about all the things that I did is because I no longer have shame surrounding that version of me. I absolved myself of that. Jesus didn't absolve me of that. I had to say, I am not that person anymore. And I am so not that person that I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to let the audience laugh at that version. Now we're laughing because it's so wild, and we're able to laugh now because look at me now. I'm still here. But that goes back to the divinity within us. We have the ability to absolve ourselves of those shameful things that we did. And everyone has shameful things that they've done. And that's life. That's the human nature. And sobriety forces us to go back and say, I'm not that. I am so not that I need to learn from that so I can never do it again. The modern church thinks that following Jesus and being Christian means being without sin, being pure and perfect. That's not what it is. It's about looking back and looking at the things you've already done and saying, I didn't handle that right, so let me not do it again. That's what it's about. And when you do that and you move forward, you're able to own the mess ups. We're all going to have mess ups. That's life. We're going to have mess ups till the very end. But it's about looking back and the mess ups are going to get a little bit smaller and we're going to own them. And that's my sermon.
I love the worship time we've had today at the house of McCulley.
very
It's been
excited.
so good.
Like,
So good. So good.
there's room for everyone at the table. Everyone. And I'll share this with you. It gives away a little bit of the play, but I don't care. So I talk about my hookups in the play, and I talk about that they brought me gifts, and there was 3 very significant hookups, and in the play they were the 3 wise men, and they brought me gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and they taught me different things. And the day that I told Carol Cook goodbye, unbeknownst to me, was the Feast of Epiphany, 3 Kings Day, in the Episcopal calendar. And then suddenly I was on my way to meet my Savior. The whole play is about I'm on my way to meet my Savior, and I find out I'm the Savior. So at the end of the play, I talk about a text message I received after Carol Cook died. And the text message was from a guy in my phone under the name Rob Hornet. And Hornet was a gay hookup app several years ago that never lasted, but it was like Grindr. And I talk about in the play how I label all my hookups. So Rob Hornet, I hadn't heard from Rob in years. Rob Hornet texted me and said, I'm so sorry about Carol Cook. I know you guys were so close. And I text Rob back and I was like, how did you know Carol Cook of all people died? And Rob says, I follow old Hollywood accounts on Instagram. And I say to Rob, I don't even follow you on Instagram. What's your handle? Rob is now Robin, AKA Ariel Demure. She is a trans porn star. So then about 3 months later, I get a text from Robin. And Robin says to me, your mother is no longer suffering. She's at peace now. And I thought, oh my God, how sweet. And then I thought, oh my goodness, a trans porn star is sending me condolences about my blue-blooded debutante, cardigan pearl-wearing mother. My mother must be rolling in her grave. And then I realized, no, my mother had so much grace. She would say, I'm so grateful that your friend found herself and knows who she is. That's what Jesus would have said. Jesus would have said, hallelujah, there is a seat at the table for Robin. And that's one of the reasons I did the play, because I'm from Alabama and everyone claims, to celebrate Mason because I'm the exception. But I want to say, well, if I'm the exception, there's room for Robin, there's room for Carol, there's room for both of you, there's room for all of us, because we are not, it is not about being pure and perfect. It is about saying, this is who I am. I'm sorry for the things that I've done, but this is who I am. And that all ties together sobriety and religion.
I just had to take a moment.
So
I just had to sit here
and
just take a moment. So good.
But it's one of my favorite parts of the play because, well, it's unexpected. And my mother was like that. My mother was this gorgeous, blue-blooded debutante, but she had room for everyone. She rooted for the other. Whoever the other was,
I love that.
That's who she rooted for. Because she knew that there's room for everyone. And the moment we realize that there's room for everyone, that's when we start getting along.
Yeah.
That's when we start getting along. And I just get so frustrated with the landscape of today, especially in regards to politics, which we will not go into because my blood pressure will rise. But I get so frustrated because it's so ironic that it is those claiming to follow Jesus that are the ones that are closing all of the doors in everyone's faces. And it makes me sad. And it's time for a slow revolution. It's going to be slow because we've got some time, but it's going to have great impact. And it's time to open doors and pull up chairs and say, what is it that makes you tick? I'll tell you what makes me tick. I'm sorry, I get very passionate.
I am here for it.
Thank you. Y'all are delightful, and I've been doing all the talking.
I just think it's so great. You've covered so many things we were going to ask questions on. So it's so good.
Well,
I love all the different nuggets that have been in the conversation. We're going to wind down here in a minute and we're going to get into some what we call sober shots, where we ask you some questions and you have to give us some quick answers. But before we do that, I was reading through your information and saw that we both have a love of Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. And so I think we should probably go to the opening next August together of the reboot of Freaky Friday.
I think we should do it. And let me tell you something. There's two things. Jamie Lee Curtis is very loud and proud about her sobriety, and it lands.
Yep.
I hear it. And you know, I grew up on Lindsay Lohan, and I always thought she was so talented. I love seeing her rise. I love seeing her change. I love how beautiful she is. I think it is so. It's such a testament to being able to change. I changed. You both changed. We did. And it is possible. It is not easy. And that is why most people don't change. But I love following her on Instagram, and I love seeing her blossom and enter into this journey. So you know what? Let's
we're gonna
figure
figure
out
it
a
out.
way for
We're
us
gonna
to go
figure
to
it
that.
out.
I think it's
I'm trying to become
Okay.
the
I
Kevin
will
Bacon of
be there.
recovery and sobriety. That is my one goal in life at this point, is to be that. So I will, Mason, I'm going to make it happen.
I
We're going to
love-
be there. It's going to be amazing. We can start planning
I'm gonna help
outfits immediately.
Yeah. I'm gonna help too.
Okay.
I love this.
Tamar, why don't you take us into some sober shots?
Okay, so let's get into our sober shots because we're curious. All right, first one. Sober superpower, waking up at the crack of dawn, ready to take on the world, or the ability to turn any conversation into a story worth hearing.
It's going to be the latter. That's because there's such power in that.
Yes.
Now I do wake up at the crack of dawn, and that's been fascinating to me because I was never that. I am up early. I am drinking the coffee. I'm enjoying the world. But the sober superpower is turning the conversation into. That's what
I
it
was going to
is.
say
Yeah.
that's totally you.
Love it.
Yeah, love
that's
that.
totally you. Since I know you so well now.
Mhm.
Since I know you so
That's what
well
I just
now.
did.
All right, I'm gonna go, and it's
You
with
do.
two sober superstars. So this one is gonna be probably hard to choose, but you have a throwback anthem.
Okay.
Is it Supermodel by RuPaul, or is it I'm Still Standing by Elton John? Yeah,
Oh goodness.
they're both sober.
And they're both
sober.
Oh
That's
God.
a tough one.
Oh, I have an affinity for drag queens.
Well, I mean, who doesn't?
And maybe Elton John is the original drag queen, but there's RuPaul. There is, and I talk about drag on several occasions in my play, and so I'm gonna have to say
Okay,
that.
final
I'm gonna
answer.
have to say
Final answer. Okay,
Final
all right.
answer. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Are we keeping tallies, or is this just
Well,
fun?
we should. I didn't realize we should start
I know.
scoring this, Tamar.
Is that the end of the shots? I only get
Oh wait,
two?
no, there's more shots. Hello, we're alcoholics.
At
There's more
least
shots.
Give him
There's more
another
shots.
shot.
I want one.
Okay,
I want
well,
one
this
more.
one could. Which one am I gonna do? Okay, let's a sober style flex. LA Street Style meets Hollywood Insider, or old school glam with a dash of Southern charm.
Oh, I think it's gonna. So I used to be old school glam with a dash of Southern charm, and now I'm leaning more into LA Street with the Hollywood. I'm leaning more.
You're
into
in your
that.
LA Street era.
I am, because in my evolution, this haircut. Is
Oh, I
new.
love the mullet. Yeah, that's great.
I didn't mean for it to happen. It just sort of started to happen. But I'm finding that I'm mixing some sort of very gay LA Street stuff with a little bit of Carol Cook.
That's great.
And that to me
The bracelets.
that's kind of like did you guys see the photographs we did of me and Carol's caftan? I did a whole photo
I'm
shoot
going to go
of
deep
me-
dive on that.
It was a gorgeous caftan from the 1970s, and she wore it on Here's Lucy. And when we did it, and I think it was in LA Weekly, there was an LA Weekly article about the play, and it was me in Carol's caftan, and it's me sort of just owning this. I'm coming out of the cocoon, and it's me saying, "Here I am, take it or leave it." I wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself into with this conversation this morning, because you never know how people are going to handle your story, especially when it comes to mine being so different in regards to sobriety. And you both are so you're so kind, and you're so warm, and you're also very fun. And you guys are proof of what sobriety is.
That's sobriety.
It is authenticity.
Mhm.
That's what sobriety is. And I am so grateful to know both of you.
And it's
I am.
inclusivity, right?
So thank you.
We're all at the same table together.
When you are authentic, you have no choice but to be inclusive. because there are things you know and there's things you see. And that's what it is. And I can't wait to see the success of this podcast because there are so many people that are going to benefit from this. And I truly do believe there's a shift in regards to sobriety. You know, there's a reason that 100 years ago in the 20s that alcohol was illegal. It was done improperly, but there was a reason. And now if you have a healthy relationship with alcohol, have at it. There are many people that have unhealthy relationships with alcohol that feel as though they have a healthy relationship with alcohol. And one of the things that I say about alcohol, and people don't like to hear this, but I can say it because it's a safe space. You don't have to be an alcoholic for alcohol to ruin your life. It takes one time for it to go wrong. And it doesn't even have to be you drinking too much. It can be one other person drinking too much. It takes one moment for alcohol to ruin your or someone else's life. I have a very different relationship with alcohol now. And I don't celebrate it. I don't say that out loud too often because people don't want to hear it.
Right.
But I think that there are other ways for us to evolve as a people, and I don't think that alcohol is greatly a part of it the way it is today. I just don't.
100%.
I do have to ask before we close, what is your astrological sign, Mason?
I'm told, so apparently I'm a Virgo Libra cusp. I'm September 22nd. I'm told I'm very Virgo.
Okay, so we
know
have Annalisa 6, who actually lives in Hollywood. She does our sober horoscopes monthly, and she does star chart readings. I'm going to get you two connected, and I'm going to make sure we gift you a star chart reading with her. You're going to love her.
Oh my God, I can't wait. This is such a gift. Did you guys see the poster?
I did. I'm
on the play?
obsessed with it.
Isn't it
It's
incredible?
incredible. It's so good.
It's incredible. I just
It's
so good.
the other side of it.
Oh,
Fuck them if they can't take a
that's
joke.
hilarious.
Girl Cook's motto.
That's so good.
Well, I can't wait for the play to keep happening because I can't wait for you guys to be there. And if it happens in New York, as I think it is, I want you both to be there for the opening night, and I want you to be there for the party.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lot of
And you
fun.
know, we at the Sober Curator, we partner with the Break Free Foundation, which is a nonprofit that helps people that don't have access to treatment get access to treatment. But the way that they do fundraising, and the founder, Alex, is actually the publisher of the Sober Curator, is she produces 2 fashion shows a year during New York Fashion Week. And so maybe in February, you should come and walk the show, Mason.
I don't know if you want me to walk the show, but I'll be there.
Perfect.
Oh my God, I would
Perfect.
love it.
It'll just be you, me,
I
and
would
some
love
housewives.
it.
It'll be amazing.
Wait, that is incredible.
It's super fun.
I love you guys so
All
much.
the designers,
You guys
all the
cool.
designers in the show are in recovery from something. It doesn't matter what. Like, it's a very big umbrella because we believe in inclusivity. All the designers in the show are in recovery from something, and everybody that walks in the show is in recovery from something. And it's just like super,
Wow.
super, super cool.
Oh, I love it.
And now, where can our listeners find you?
Find me on it. I'm obsessed with Instagram. I don't have a big following, but I love it. And I love engaging with everyone. So I'm just at Mason McCulley on Instagram.
Perfect.
MasonMcCulley.
And we will put it in the show notes.
And you can see all the things that are happening with the play, which are really fun. You guys are doing something so wonderful. And let me tell you, this is what I love so much. You're doing it properly because you're showing what sobriety is. You guys are so fun. And you're showing the magic of what sobriety is. When you heal, you can do everything. Again, people think sobriety is rehab and clinical. That is part of it. But it's once you get to that soft spot that life gets so gorgeous. And you guys are showing what that looks like. You guys are showing how beautiful life can be when you meet yourself. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Well, and I believe it doesn't matter what you say, but it very much matters what you do. And you can't tell people to do anything, but if you show them by your own actions, which is what I think Jesus did, just saying. If you show them, then, then maybe they want to join at the table too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been so fun. That's all the time we have.
I feel like I have 2 new best friends.
2 new besties.
You do.
As we like to say at the Sober Curator, getting sober matters, staying sober matters more. Thanks for tuning in. This is Alysse, Bryson, and until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.